from all of the theories that are explained in the chapter, I personally agree with all of them. For example, with the first language theory, I believe that it is true. It is true that the native language can affect the process of learning a second language, because that happens to me sometimes when sometimes when I try to pronounce a word, my first language uh, interfered, so I ended up mispronouncing that word. um, Also, in the case of the cognitive learning theories, I agree with that one because that's the way I learn English. That's the way, that was the process that I went through. Um, I remember when I was in high school, my my um my 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 process was like more like control, and I was like when trying to speak English, I was like really focused on grammar rules, like how am I gonna say this, how am I gonna say that, like which rule like am I supposed to use, like which grammatical rule am I supposed to use. So I was like really focused like on that. So, and after, like it was more like implicit, that like the way it is explained there, my knowledge was like more like implicit, but like after practicing more, it went from control to automatic, and from focal to peripheral attention, and from implicit to explicit. So now, like when I speak, like I don't think, like it's just an automatic, it's just I just do it like automatically, like I don't think about any grammar rules, and how am I gonna say this, or how am I gonna say that. So that's why I agree with that one. And with experience theories, I believe it is so important, the input that we provide to second language learners. It is important to provide them with listening and reading materials, that because that's the way, well, I believe that is true, because that's the way I learn English. I remember my ESL teacher, like she was like constantly providing us with reading materials. Like we were always reading, and of course, like we were listening to the language when she was explaining us. So that's why I agree with that one. And the conversation theories, that one, I agree with that one because of the part of the feedback. I believe that not only when learning a language, but like when learning any other thing, like it is important the feedback that we provide to the students, because that's the only way they're gonna be able to learn from their mistakes, reflect on those mistakes, and learn from them. So that's why I also agree with the output hypothesis, because first, because it is important to practice while we are learning, in this case, a language. So, because, like I already mentioned, that's the only way students are going to be able to notice the mistakes they make when speaking, and to reflect on those mistakes, and to reflect on those mistakes, so that way they're not going to be making them again whenever they try to speak English, whenever they try to speak English. That's why I agree with that one. And how does this inform my language teaching? Well, now like I am more aware of the factors that can affect the process of learning a second language. So I believe like learning these theories will like help me to will give me like an idea of how to help those students to learn the language, and how and like the teaching, like methods that I can apply in a classroom in order to help them, um, acquire that language. And what do I want to learn from, to remember from this chapter to use in my own classroom? Um, well, I will really like to remember all of these theories, because I believe all of them are important, and all of them like cover like the, and like the entire picture of how is the process of learning a new language. So I will personally like to remember everything that is explained in this chapter, in those theories, especially the one that it the one the first theory, because it explains how students' native language can either help either help it can either like help them, or it can either affect them. It can either affect, either like help them succeed when in the process of learning a language, or it can either like affect it. So I would like to remember that from this chapter.